Hello and welcome. Today we've got Sherri Divband, and we are going to be discussing a message from the Pleiadians that gave Sherri, and she would like to share with us. Now, just before we begin, you can subscribe to our Telegram channels and to nicholasveniamin.com for my free email updates. And if you're watching this for the first time on YouTube, I will leave the link below in the description for the full interview. Sherri, thank you for joining me. How are you, and what have you been up to?
Thank you, Nicholas, for having me back on your show. It's been a whirlwind. I've been quite busy over the past 6 to 9 months, more than ever before, but it's incredible. And I've been getting incredible information. I've been working with the children, getting the youth centers going, and helping a lot of people work through the ascension. So I've been quite busy, but I always love to take time to come on your show.
Well, you're doing a fantastic job, So before you tell us the message from the Pleiadians, do you want to tell us first how you get these messages and is it through channeling? How is it done?
Good question. Most of 2 ways. One is channeling, so direct channeling. So I communicate with a group of Pleiadians myself. I don't give out their name or anything because it's kind of a private group that I work with. So it's not like a huge collective that a lot of people will channel. It's my personal Pleiadian guides that are in my family. And so I get a lot of information from them, but really, I would say a good 50% come from my sessions. So I do, 12 to 15 sessions a week with people all over the world, and I help them with healing, clearing past life traumas, clearing timelines, merging them together, and helping them through the ascension process. And when I do that, I communicate and I call in their galactic family, whether they're Arcturian, Andromedan, Pleiadian, Sirian, and many more. And they are the ones that I communicate with. And that is how I have such a plethora of knowledge, because I get information from pretty much everywhere. And I have the honor to be able to speak with so many different amazing beings that are very evolved, have a lot of information, and they're very loving, and they genuinely want the best for humanity here on Earth. And so everybody is really working together to help guide humanity through this ascension. And so a lot of the information that I get is actually through individual sessions with people, as I'm able to communicate with their guides and their protectors and their soul family. So it's kind of a mix.
So let's speak more about the message that you got from the Pleiadians. Is it about what we need to be doing as humanity? Is it a warning? Is it a political? Please tell us.
Yeah. So the urgent message that I have received rather, is it's really pertinent to children, but it's also very important for adults just as much, to be honest with you, as I interpret it. And that is sugar. So our children, we know that our children have been misguided and programmed, and the powers that were, I like to call it that now, the powers that were never had our children's best interest at heart. And so as parents, we've been told, the electromagnetic frequencies from all the electronics have been really messing with our children's energetic vibration, the hormones in the food, chemtrails. I mean, just about the programming from TV, the indoctrination from the education system, the medical system, these things. And so there's a lot that's contributed to them pulling down the vibration of our children over time. But really what I was informed recently that I hadn't known is actually the number one weapon of what I would say warfare towards our children is the most common thing that our children are ingesting, and our parents have no idea and what it's doing to them. And so they showed me energetically that sugar is not only lowering their vibration. What happens when your vibration is lowered? Because these children are high frequency, high density. So they have a lot of energy flowing through their body. And so when you put sugar into it, it lowers that energy. And suddenly they become hyperactive. They develop the synapses in their brain don't fire appropriately. They have cognitive not dissonance. There was another word that they used for it, but they get confused. They're not thinking cognitively like they would normally. They're more hyperactive than usual, and it really messes with their energetic system, and it can actually cause their intelligence over time to go down. So what we would refer to as, I guess, their IQ would go down over time, and it really disrupts everything within their body, the complete balance of the body energetically, which then causes the physical effects of diabetes, hypertension, weight gain, a whole slew of things. And so the sugar has been included in, just about every facet of our children's life. And we need to recognize that it should be taken out as quickly as possible, because it's a toxin. It really is messing with their systems, and so much for the adults too. It's not just about the children, because I know a lot of adults that indulge in sugar pretty much all day long, whether it's within their coffee. Sugar is in everything, and we don't realize it. And so it's not always just about, oh, I don't eat cake or cookies or candy, things like that, ice cream. It's in the nutrition bars that we're told. It's in the cereal, it's in the bread, it's in the pasta. It's pretty much in everything. So what they were telling me is to, number one, don't abruptly take your children off sugar, because they can absolutely have withdrawals from that, just like a lot of other things. So it's all about weaning them down and giving them the natural sugars like fruits, honey, maple, dates, things that are naturally sweet is absolutely okay. They can have as many blueberries as they want. And trying to reduce over time the sugar so that it's not going to be a shock to their system. I think that intuitive eating is the way of the future. I've been told this 3-4 years ago. I didn't quite understand what that meant back then, because I'm not a nutritionist. But what I was told is that we really need, as we go into our crystalline bodies and we start to, and really all that means, because there's a lot of confusion around that, is that as we go to a higher dimension, our bodies are going to change so that they can be in a higher frequency, because our souls thrive to be out of this third dimensional matrix. We need to be in a higher frequency. And so in order to do that, our physical bodies have to adapt and integrate. And so one of the ways that we can do that or help that process is through our eating. And I've heard this from the Pleiadians and the Andromedans the most, but also the Arcturians, that we need to listen to our body. So once we clear the sugars and the carbs from our body, so we're not craving the salts and the fats and the sugars, and we truly are in tune and in touch with our body will tell us what it needs. We'll eat a lot less food. We'll eat more nutritional things that provide us with the energy that we actually need. So we're not just crashing at the end of the day because we've been living on sugar. And we tend to listen to what our body is telling us that it needs, as opposed to what the television is telling us what we should eat, because of the burger commercials and all of the stuff that's infiltrated all aspects of our life, where we're told eat this, eat this, eat this. And it's unfortunate, because the more alkaline diet, which consists of natural fruits and vegetables, nuts, as you go down the chart a little bit or more into the middle range, it will be more of like the barley and the farro and things like that. And you go in the acid section, it's the sodas, all the stuff that we shouldn't eat, the soda, the cookies, the cake, the sugars, all of the red meat, things like that. So our body is not designed to do that. And really, when we're in that acidic realm, our body's vibration lowers, and that's where cancer thrives and just dis-ease in general. So if we can bring ourselves back up, and we don't need to buy anything. There's a lot of people out there trying to take advantage of people and buy this supplement, drink this kind of water, buy this alkaline water. And I don't necessarily subscribe to that. I think that, our ancestors weren't buying supplements. They were just taking what was out in nature and was readily available. So that's the fruits, the vegetables, the nuts, the beans, and drinking water, not from tap, but at least purified water or distilled water. And that is really the key. And the Pleiadians are telling me that the key to us holding a higher frequency is through our diet. And one of those things that is an easy fix is reducing or eliminating over time the sugar, especially from the children, because it is toxic. I have been told it's more toxic than the radiation that comes from the electromagnetic frequencies from the cell towers, the computers, the phones. When I heard that, I didn't believe it at first. There's no way. But I am believing it more and more now, as I'm getting more information through my sessions where I work with children, and their guides are coming in and telling me, they tell his or her mother, reduce sugar. This is really disrupting the flow of the balance in the body. And so now I'm really understanding that it really is toxic, and we need to tell everybody about this, because it's really important, especially through this evolutionary process. This ascension is all about bringing our bodies to balance and healing, releasing, and making our body more healthy and vibrant. And so that has a lot to do with what we put in it. So that was
Wow.
the main message.
So why do you think that was the message that they wanted to give you, other than anything else? For example, other things that are going on. Why do you think that was important?
I think it's important, Nicholas, because the children are our future, and they're being targeted, and they're doing everything they can to suppress our children so that they are not able to do what they came here to do, which is be the anchors of the new world. I believe that wholeheartedly, and I've communicated with so many children all over the world that that's what they're here to do, and they're vibrant, and they are really unique, and they are high density, and they're here to help make change. And so we are blindly giving our children, no fault of our own, because I very recently was giving my children, sugar and not thinking anything of it. I think I'm a little bit more cautious than most parents because I don't really eat sugar that much. I never really was a big sugar person. So I call it healthy eating in my house. So there's not a negative connotation to sugar, and we do it in moderation. But I think that's really what it's about. It's about what can they do to suppress our children, because when they're suppressed in a lower vibration, Nicholas, they're more easily able to be manipulated and programmed. So when they're sitting there glued to their iPads or their TV, and they're watching cartoons talking about a variety of things, New World Order, masturbation. I mean, the craziest stuff that they have on these shows for young kids right now. If they're in a lower vibration and they just had a ton of sugar in their body, they will be more receptible to programming, and they will be more disconnected from nature and their ability to tap into their higher awareness. And that's it. The same goes with us. And that's not the only message that I received from the Pleiadians, but that was the main one with regard to our diet, which is really significant right now.
Absolutely. Now, many parents are, wanting they want their children not to watch so much, YouTube or television or cartoons. They want them to do or participate in activities that are much more stimulants for the brain, for them to be more proactive, I guess. But the issue is that it's very easy to stick a child onto an iPad where where they're very easily distracted, or the parent wants peace and quiet. So how can you advise parents to what way can they bring their children away from iPads and away from the technologies that damage their brain and indoctrinate them, and have them in more more in proactive mental stimulation type of activities?
Yeah, and the answer to that is to get them outside. Every single being that I've spoken with, regardless of where they're from, they said that our power is drawn from our connection to the earth, and they know that. So that's why we have big cities with concrete everywhere, suffocating the earth. Trees are being taken down left and right. Our children are disconnected from nature, and they need to reestablish a relationship with nature and with animals. And so I recognize that a lot of people watching this may be in cities and they don't have a lot of nature around, and they're not going to get up and move. So it's all about bringing nature to them. So bringing plants in the house, teaching them to garden, teaching them about crystals, going on walks, even if there are no trees around, at least getting outside and trying to breathe fresh air, and giving them things to do inside the house. And when you are inside, where they take breaks. So I'm a big, what's the word? I do everything in moderation. I don't deprive my children of anything, because then that's when they go out and they have issues later in life where they indulge and they overdo things. I don't want that for them. So I try to expose them to a lot of things, but I also try to allow them to do the things that they enjoy, watching TV, playing with the iPad. But we try to make sure we take health breaks. We always call them health breaks. So that's more work on the parents, because when they're home, they, sometimes it's nice to put your child in front of the iPad and have a nice coffee break, because I do it as well. But then it's like, okay, once I had my mommy timeout, then it's time to activate the creative side. So coloring. Coloring books were designed to suppress our children. I know that sounds crazy, but when a child is sitting there coloring in a pre-printed picture of a flower or a scene of some sort, it really limits their creative ability to tap into what they're actually capable of expressing. So take out the coloring books, give them a blank piece of paper, give them a bunch of things that you can find around the house, cotton balls. It doesn't matter. Pencil. What are those called? The tongue suppressors or whatever they're called, the sticks. What are they called? Or popsicle sticks. You can get really creative with it. Kids will surprise you when they have the opportunity to use the full energetic, creative part of their brain, as opposed to limiting them to coloring in, a picture of a flower. So it's all about stimulating. If your child is more analytical, perhaps you get a Lego set where they, instead of following instructions and building something, they make something of their own. They make a small city. They put their dinosaurs in there and create an environment and an atmosphere and a little civilization of their own, where they use action figures. So it's all about allowing them to be creative, because a lot of our children have lost that, and they are so programmed to just follow things and just listen and do what you're told, or play video games. It's already done for you. And so everything in moderation. So as long as we're providing them an opportunity to use that right brain, then the body will have an opportunity to reset and rebalance itself. So it's delicate, and it's not always easy, but it is attainable.
Absolutely. I mean, I never thought of that, but now that you mentioned it, they're basically being told what to color in, as opposed to them choosing what they want to color in, because they already have that sketch there in front of them to color in. It's a bit like drawing a circle around an ant, and now that ant will only, walk around within that circle. It won't go outside it. Absolutely. Yeah. So please just remind us, whereabouts in the US are you, and what's the situation like when it comes to vaccinating children in schools?
I'm in the DC metropolitan area in the United States. I'm in Maryland. And unfortunately, I'm in an area that does not align with a lot of what I talk about. I believe I've been put here for a reason. And up until this point, actually, a lot of schools would allow medical or religious exemptions. I've used both of them for my children, and it's been just fine. Now, this new thing that's happening, the mandates are changing, and a lot of places are requiring it. No exemptions are an option anymore. That hasn't happened to me yet, but if it were, I would be pulling my kids out of school. But a lot of people have been faced with that challenge and have pulled their children out and have created their own home schooling pods. This is really common right now, where a collection of kids are coming into different homes of people in the same neighborhoods, and they are homeschooling the children, which is, I think, a really incredible opportunity. Because one thing that we've found is in this whole pandemic, I don't know what I'm allowed to say in your platform.
You can say whatever you want.
Okay. Is that the education system has not been in the benefit of our children, and unfortunately, a lot of children fell behind with the virtual learning, mine included. And so a lot of those that decided to homeschool recognized that their children started to excel, and suddenly their children were ahead. And the children that were with the virtual learning were half a year to a whole year behind. And so a lot of parents were like, why? How is that possible? Why aren't our children learning in school? And what are they learning in school? And they started to pay more attention to the lesson plans and what the kids were learning, and realized that it didn't align with what they felt that their children, the potential that their children truly have. And so a lot of children are excelling in the homeschool environment because the parents or the teachers, whoever they hire, have more control over the speed of which they go through subjects or how they're taught. And that's a big part of my platform and what I'm working towards with the Youth Centers for Children, which is my baby. And it's really growing into something beautiful. And I'm trying to create youth centers all over. I am creating. You have to catch your thoughts and your words. And even I make mistakes. So I am creating youth centers for children all over the world, where they will be able to learn the foundational information and knowledge that they should have been learning hundreds of years ago, that was stolen from them, that teaches them that they have the power and how to tap in and how to meditate and how to tap into your intuition and what's energy and what are emotions and how and why do they have energy attached to them? How do they affect us? Because children are, and what I've been told by the Arcturians is that is the biggest challenge of humans is emotions. That is our biggest challenge, is that we have a really difficult time releasing and channeling our emotions. It doesn't matter how old you are, where you're from, how much money you have, what your background is. Everybody struggles with it. And that's one of my big missions in life, is to teach people that it's all about mindfulness, and we have the ability to control our emotions, even if you don't believe that you do. And I teach people how to do that. And I think children, if they're taught how to do that when they're 5, 6, 7 years old, and as they get older, they learn new techniques, the humanity would be much different right now. There wouldn't be such angry, pent-up adults out there, because they would have learned the principles of how to channel your emotions, how to release energy. And then there wouldn't be any disease. And so emotions really are the foundation. And so children need to learn that. So in the youth centers that I am creating, I want children to have the opportunity to learn all of these life skills before the age of 8, 10 years old. They should know all of this stuff. They should know how to do yoga, mindfulness, mindful breathing, telepathy, connecting to animals, connecting to earth, gardening, crystals, all of that. That should be paramount in our children's education moving forward. And I think that the pandemic was one of those opportunities. If you want something positive that came out of this, is that it has shaken up the education system to a point that it's gotten a lot of attention, and enough parents are paying attention, enough teachers are paying attention that this is not right. The way we teach our children is not right. And it's not a cohesive environment for them to thrive. It's an environment to create competition, and for them to feel inferior. Children shouldn't be competing with their grades. They shouldn't be competing with the person next to them. They should be placed in groups of people, other children that are in the same behavioral, mental, and emotional kind of level, if you want to call it that, somewhat like Montessori, but not exactly. And that's part of my mission, is to create that for our children, so that they have an option. Parents have an option, so they don't have to go to the traditional education system. They have other options for their children to thrive, because that's really what it's all about, is how our children are thriving now will really determine our future, because they are the future. That why are we doing any of this? Why am I doing any of this? Why are you doing any of this? Even for those that don't have children, doesn't matter if you have children or not. The children that are here are our future, and then the future generations that come in, what we are creating for them is important, because it will determine the future of humanity. And so this is a really important opportunity that we can use throughout this ascension process, to focus our attention on creating the world that we want to see. And that was the other important message from the Pleiadians. A lot of people, and I talk to them every day with my clients, they said, all I do all day long is I watch this podcast, and I can't stop watching, and I want to know what's happening, and I want to know what's going to happen next. And I tell them, nobody knows what's going to happen next. You're listening to the opinions of a lot of different people, and that's very confusing. And that was what the Pleiadians were trying to say. Stop waiting for someone to rescue you, because we're not going to be rescued. We have to learn to stand in our sovereignty. And it's all about empowering each and every one of the people that are watching this, that are on the planet, that we have the power and the ability to stand up and say, I do not consent, and in a respectful way, so that we don't create chaos, because we don't want chaos right now. We want to create clarity, motivation, and excitement for what is to come. And so people really just spent their days less watching the opinions of others and what they think is going to happen, because like I said, I don't think anybody truly knows 100%. They may know pieces of the puzzle, but not the full puzzle. And really just focus on connecting to nature, focusing on their diet, releasing their own emotional energy through breathing, taking baths, walking in nature, connecting to animals, connecting to children, and really just try to manifest and focus your attention, because your thoughts have words, your thoughts have energy, your emotions have energy, your words have energy, everything around you, it's all energy. Mm-hmm. Focus on what you want the world to look like. So I choose to focus my time on how I want the world to look like for our children. How can I create a better atmosphere for our children to thrive and to learn? Other people may focus their attention on what they want the medical system to look like. How are people going to heal? Others may teach people, or may focus their attention on what they want the future leadership of the world to look like. And I have had the opportunity to take, peeks through these little windows of what the future is going to look like. And I can honestly say that it's very beautiful, but it looks very different than what we see right now. So the unfortunate thing is a lot of people are focusing their attention on when a certain person may come back into office and limiting their scope of possibility to one thing. And what I try to teach people is break out of those barriers and recognize what is actually coming may not look anything like you think it's going to be, but it could be better. And we tend to limit ourselves by what we're manifesting to what we can see and our perception. And that's what the Pleiadians are here to teach us, is that if we just expand our awareness and shift our perception and perhaps look at something from an eagle view, let's just say, so you're not so close to it, and recognize that there are a lot more solutions available to us and a lot more possibilities if we just stop looking in this narrow pathway. And I really am trying to coach everybody that I work with to do that, because your life will change exponentially if you do that, because then you have the ability to create infinite possibilities. And so the education is breaking down and shifting and changing. The medical system is breaking down, shifting and changing. The political system is breaking down, shifting and changing. And how these things look 5 months down the line or years down the line, no one can really say for sure. I have ideas because I see glimpses of it, but at the end of the day, it all has to do with our thoughts and the collective consciousness of man, and what Nicholas is thinking in his head, what's Sherri thinking and designing in her head, what are all the people watching this thinking and focusing their attention on? Are they focusing their attention on one possible scenario, or are they thinking about what is best for humanity, for our highest good that could be so much better than that? And so that's really what I wanted to say today in this platform, was that let's stop limiting ourselves and break out of this barrier, because we're so programmed to do that since birth. We limit our manifesting to to our limitations, and we have to break free of that. So focus your attention on the good and what is to come.
Absolutely, 100% agree with that. We have to do more inner work and, shift the consciousness. Absolutely. I wanted to say, so you said that, many parents are taking their children out of school because they're not happy with how the schools are dealing with it. And we know that the school is an indoctrination system created by the cabal. And we know President Trump has always promotes pro-school choice. He's for school choice. So he's for school choice. Then we see loads of parents withdrawing their children from the school system, as we see with nurses and doctors leaving the medical system. Do you think that this will cause the cabal system machine to slowly break down? And, whilst people like myself and you and the viewers who are proactive are creating a new system?
Yes. You said it exactly right. That's exactly what is happening. And we needed to get the unrest of the people to say, this is enough. I don't like how things are going. I don't want to be on 10 medications. I want to get to the root cause of my illness. I want to seek out a healer who can work with me on an energetic level. Or the parents who say, I don't want my children learning about masturbation in school and Marxism and all of this crazy ideals. I want them to learn how to live life and to be abundant and to be free and to be sovereign and empowered, and how to do that. In the ripple effect, there are those that are very in tune with the political system and say, I don't like this environment. I don't like to be under control. What can we do to shift and change this? So everybody's encouraged in this 4D transition. The 4D is all about transition and change. So the 4D is about, well, if it's really uncomfortable, what can we do to change it? And that's why there are so many amazing people out in the world that have their ideas or they're interested in certain areas, because we need every area to be different, to look different and to change. And this is our opportunity right now to do that. I had an Arcturian group come to me and show me some technology that they're bringing forward. Do you want me to share these two things with you?
Absolutely. Please do.
Okay. So I thought this was really cool. So there's two, I'm sorry, was it Arcturians? Yeah. This has already been established, eons ago. We just haven't had access to it. So it is coming. One of which is a holographic technology where, when somebody has a near-death experience and they suddenly have like the flash of their whole life, go before their eyes and they can see their whole life in front of them. It's something similar to that. But the idea is that you don't have to have a near-death experience or die in order to see it. So it's like a white room that 360 view is your life review. So anybody at any point, you could go tomorrow if you wanted, if the technology was available. Anybody at any point could stand in the center of this room and see and have their life review right then and there to see. And the point of it is not for fun, but the point of it is to see what choices you've made. How's that affected other people? What things could you have done different? You could have done better. It's really an opportunity to expand our awareness outside of ourselves and recognize that the world does not revolve around Sherri. The world does not revolve around Nicholas, which a lot of people are very egocentric and actually think that everybody is participating in their life. And that's not how it works. And so this life review is an opportunity for people to see how they affect people and how their actions affect people, so that when they move forward, they can have this profound spiritual experience or an awakening, so that when they move forward, they are more mindful about all facets of their life, what they think, how they act, how they treat people, all of that, which I thought was absolutely incredible. So is not so much about healing this technology. It's more about expanding our awareness, because Nicholas, what I've been shown is that we're about to go in 2022 we're all going back to school in some way, shape, or form, whether it's the education system being rebuilt and we're teaching our children in a new way, or the medical system breaking down and we are reestablishing the mechanism of which we will heal ourselves, heal others with different technology, and so on, and political and all the way. And so right now it's about 2022 is about that process of rebuilding and recreating. So it's a lot of work, but it's for the better of humanity. So the other machine, or the other technology, I saw people in this, it looked glass, but probably isn't, almost like a med bed. Let's just say it's a see-through med bed. They're laying back and there's one laser above their head, and they have 3 like electrodes on their forehead. Maybe there were some on the back, but I just couldn't see it. And the idea is that they have a stimulus of happy emotion, sad emotion, all the emotions, and they can see through this technology. I don't know how, their auric field. So their auric field becomes exposed where they could actually see the light, the colors. And when you have a sadness emotion, let's say, they can see how that triggers their energetic field and how it affects them. Then they have a happy emotion, and they can see how the electromagnetic field or their auric field shifts. And so when we're sad and we are angry, our auric field actually shrinks down and it's much smaller and more dense because our vibration is low. But when we have a positive, happy experience, we're laughing, we're joyful, our auric field gets really low, expands. That's why children's energy fields are so huge, because they're just little balls of light and love. And so this is about teaching people how their emotions affect their wellness, which is what my first book was about. So I think that's why this one was special to me, because people can see it with their own eyes. They don't have to read my book. They don't have to listen to someone explain it. They can see it. So they have another aha moment, because the future of humanity is about reteaching humanity how to live, how to be a sovereign being, how to communicate telepathically, just how to tap into your higher awareness, because everything becomes more clear. And if you can recognize how your emotions affect your well-being, then perhaps our emotions won't be such a difficult part of being a human. Does that make sense?
Absolutely, of course. Yeah. Well, yeah. Sherri Divband, it's been an absolute honor to have you on. Thank you so much for sharing that with us. Is there anything else that you'd like to say to the viewers before we finish?
I don't know. Well, I guess just stay connected. The more connected you are with your higher self, the faster we will get through this ascension, and the quicker we can get to the rebuilding of humanity. So focus on the light, Focus on keeping your body high vibration. Pay attention to the foods you eat. Pay attention to your words, your thoughts, your actions, because everything has energy. So if you can just be mindful about everything you do in your life and focus on keeping yourself high and not worry about everybody else, everybody does their part, then we will go through this evolution in a much more beautiful, profound way, and it will be much faster. So that's my best advice to everybody is stand in your power and work on healing yourself.
Absolutely. Well, Sherri, thank you so, so much. And we'll speak again very soon. God bless you.
Thank you for having me. Bye, everybody.